Hi.
Hi. I have no idea what happened. That's the first time that's happened to our pre-show. No idea. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
I honestly don't. I had an interview that was at 6, and all of a sudden I got a call from the publicist, and she's like, "There's somebody waiting for you on StreamYard." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you're half an hour late." And then I was so kind of impatient with the person interviewing about the festival. I said, "Why don't you just come on over to our StreamYard at 7 and you'll meet some really great filmmakers." Anyway, I really apologize. I don't know what happened. We have a really slick pre-show, which we are very proud that we were able to execute in very short order when we decided to do virtual events. And I'm sorry, my earpiece isn't sticking in my ear. Let me just give me a minute to get myself sorted here.
That's okay.
Wow. I'm wearing the wrong
My cat
color.
would like to join us.
I was still in my pajama bottoms. I've had a busy day. I'm just joking. Okay, hang on. Let's open this up so I can see you. It's so good to see you, Rosen. We met.
Hi, Leslie.
We met
Hi.
in Ireland. Yes.
We
So
did.
we're going to introduce everybody. Now, does my screen look really foggy, or is it my eyes are going on me?
A little bit.
So blurry.
Isn't that weird? I wonder
Maybe
why.
it's smudged.
Sometimes you just need to clean it quickly, just like.
I don't even know where the thing is on this thing. I have 2 computers going right now. I need someone else to come in and do that for me. Honest to God, I don't know. Anyway, I'm really happy to have you all here. I love your films. And I have to congratulate you as well, because it was so crazy this year. I thought because we were moving to a digital platform that we would be able to show more films, for example. But we actually, our programming was much more, what's the word for it, selective, because we could only show so many films. Encore was mostly Canadian. So a lot of Canadian content went to Encore Plus. And then I decided that we would unpack our foreign and, our foreign filmmakers. Americans are included in that, by the way. I don't know why, but somehow you're considered foreigners. And we decided that we'd put more of the films over on TIFF Bell Lightbox to have more of an international representation. And we have some Canadian films there, and I see Kate Campbell. Boundless, love your film, Kate.
Thank you.
I was so excited when I contacted you, and I said, "Did you give it to that other Women Directors Film Festival that sprung up somehow somewhere in Toronto in the last 2 years?"
No.
You said no.
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy to have it. What a beautiful film, all of you. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you by name and the title of your film, although you've already done your homework and you've tapped in your name and the title of your film. So I don't even know if I really need to do that. But I do need to go back and do something I didn't do because I was frantic when I came in. I have to acknowledge our sponsor, Ontario Creates, for supporting our Industry Initiatives program. And I also want to thank my team who are virtual, who are in the background right now. Probably were wondering where the heck I was. So thanks for your patience, guys. And we have great interns from Humber College, from the film and TV production program. This year, 25 of them. We normally have 8 to 12 in any given year, but I think because of the pandemic, they didn't have anywhere else to go. So they all came over to the Female Eye, which is really great, but kind of tripped me out too. I'm like, what am I going to do with all of them? I don't know. And it's all virtual, so it's been interesting. So I want to thank all of them, and I'm very grateful for those who are with us right now in the back room helping with this, the execution of this virtual panel. So I want to talk about where everybody is right now. So Serena, are you in New York?
So normally I am in New York. I'm actually in Boulder, Colorado right now.
Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, until
is that
probably
where your family is?
Well, my sister moved out here, And my fiance and I were in a very small apartment in New York at the beginning of the pandemic, and there was really like nothing to do and nowhere to go, and it was very cage-like, you know. So when my sister Haley moved out here, we kind of came for a little extended workcation in the mountains.
Nice
Yeah.
place to workcation.
Yeah.
It's nice to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
And Anna, you are out in BC, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, or Burnaby, technically.
It's so nice to see you. Your film, absolutely loved it. It's this docu-drama type of experimental film. Hopefully you'll all get a chance to see it. Kate Campbell, of course, Boundless. Toronto. You're in Toronto, yes?
Yes, I am. Getting warmer.
And Roisin, you're joining us all the way from Ireland.
I am.
Are you
I'm in
in
Dublin.
Ireland?
I
Dublin.
am in Ireland, in Dublin.
Oh, I love Dublin. Where did we meet? We met at the Kerry Film
at the Kerry
Festival.
International Film Festival. Yeah, that was
that 2 years ago?
2 years ago, was it? Yeah, and it was absolutely brilliant. We had such a good time.
Wasn't it?
It was. Oh, it was gorgeous. The weather and everything was fab.
We did have fun there. I was there with my film, and that's where we met.
That's right.
And my sister joined me, and we went on a crazy road trip into farmers' fields and bulls and ghosts and all kinds of things. It was phenomenal. So good to see you, and love Patty. Extraordinary. And is that Maeve? That's Maeve, right?
That is Maeve McGrath.
Maeve
McGrath.
Yes.
Who
From
plays
the Kerry
the
Film
mammy.
Festival.
That's right.
But she's not with Kerry.
She's not. She produced Paddy as well. She's one of the two producers. Herself and Keith Bogue produced. And then she had the script and contacted me to come in and direct. So I was very, very delighted about that. So it was brilliant.
It's phenomenal. Absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
So.
And then we have Edith, who's joined us with Uncle Ziga. And where are you? Are you in Budapest right now?
Yeah, I'm in Budapest. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm even farther than Dublin.
But your film, you are much further. And your film, though, was filmed. It was filmed in the United States, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I filmed. It was my thesis film. So I shot it in Ohio, in the Midwest, with an all-woman crew. So
all-woman crew.
Brilliant.
Good for you.
All-woman crew.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. We like to hear that. So I want to ask each one of you a couple of questions that are this. It's the same question, and then I have a specific question for each one of you. So I'm going to bounce back over to Edith. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, Edith. Sure.
Jacob.
Jakob.
Jakob.
Well, you can call me whatever, but anyway, it's great to be with you girls. It's really great.
Yeah, isn't it great to see
all
of you? And your films are all premiering tomorrow. So, Edith, tell me, your film. Where did you get the inspiration for your story? Where did it come from?
Well, actually, it was inspired by a short story by Géza Csát, a Hungarian writer, who is one of my favorites. But it was taken entirely to an entirely different direction when I wrote the screenplay with a friend who is a well-known screenwriter, and we took it to a different direction and context. But yeah, basically, yeah. So the autobiographical element is only an estranged father-daughter relationship, but not in the same context as in the film.
Oh, so the relationship between the women was what was unique about the story, or what you
that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really loved it. It really touched me, and it was very moving. And the chemistry between the women was incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the woman who played the husband, right? Because it was in America, but still the roles were traditional, because I wanted to combine the old world with the new one. So I wanted to give that sensibility, and the difficulties of immigrants, and especially if they are LGBTQ, right? And so who played the husband, yes, she identifies as a trans
Right.
man.
Yeah, I know. I got that. I thought it was really well done, and you certainly captured the essence of it being old world meets new world, and the estranged and challenged relationship between the father and the daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Well, listen, tell us about Patty. Being an ex-punker, I really loved it.
Well, Paddy came to me via Maeve McGrath. Sinead Colopy is the writer on it, and then when Maeve got it and they set up, the funding and everything else around it, she contacted me to direct, and I read it and I loved it. I'd spent time in London myself. Now, I would have been a little bit later than the 70s, but I kind of connected with the whole displacement bit, and again the immigration thing. And I mean, obviously from Ireland we have managed to go just about everywhere. I don't think there's many places we haven't managed to arrive into, but that whole cusp of Paddy, the young boy, it's a sort of coming of age story, so he's on the cusp of manhood, but he is very much an Irish boy in London, even though he's been brought up in the UK, and he's trying to still connect with his Irish roots, but make his own way in the world, and that's where the whole punk thing comes in. And I think it did a lot for an awful lot of people, finding their music, finding their place in the world through music. So that was what I really loved about it. I loved the idea of that
Identity.
and yeah, absolutely. And it's every generation goes through that thing of just finding their feet a little bit and cutting the apron strings and going off. So yeah, that was what really attracted me to it.
And you really captured the father was there, even though he's gone. You really sense that his quest for his own identity. But you also touched upon an interesting time politically and socially between the Brits and the Irish.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. In the 70s, it was incredibly difficult, and there was a lot going on, and the IRA were very active. There was a lot of bombings in London, and people's anger was taken out against Irish immigrants at the time, and so there was an awful lot of stresses there. And like, London was an escape for a lot of Irish people as well, because I mean, it was quite repressive here at the time. You weren't you weren't allowed to work if you were a married woman up until 1974. So we'd just come through that. We were just contraception was illegal, unless you're married. It was a very, very oppressive time. And I suppose there's been a lot of stuff around the mother and baby homes at the moment and the adoptions, and it was one of the things that happened was a lot of young girls would have left for England if they found themselves pregnant, and that was only removed in 2018. So, but I see the face of shock around me. But so London was very much a place of escape for a lot of Irish people, but because of Northern Ireland and the conflict and everything that was going on there, it became very difficult. And it was like, I mean, there was a lot of anti-Irish sentiment at the time.
Yeah.
And I suppose London was changing so much as well, because there was a huge influx of immigrants from the 50s on, from everywhere. And as with any era, there's all sorts of things that happen along with that. And then a new generation of punk, of wanting to break free from the restrictions of old, So I think that it was, for a lot, I think it was a really fun time, but it was also a very difficult time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well done. What did you shoot on, may I ask?
It was on Sony FS7. I think that was. So it was.
It had a filmic feel to it. It had an analog feel to it.
Yeah, no, it was done. We did a lot in post. We used a lot of grading in post to sort of give it that feel of the 1970s, and then even the color palette that we were using, with costume and set design, we kind of stuck to that sort of brownish, creamy tone that I think everyone kind of identifies the 70s with it a little bit, because all your old photos, when you look back on the 70s, they all have that kind of color to them. And
Yeah,
then
no, it was great. It looked like a Polaroid from a vintage SXW or something, but it had that great analog color palette to it.
yeah, John, who did the post-production, did it because all the post-production was done in lockdown, so it was all being sent around the country.
We're going to talk about that. I'm curious about everybody's process actually during the pandemic. Some of the films were delivered, and obviously they were in post in 220. Where am I? I don't know where I am. Thank you. Kate, let's talk about Boundless. Are you muted? No, you're not muted. Yeah, I'm going to ask everyone, because we're having some feedback. Can everyone mute themselves until I come to you? All right.
Yes.
Better. Hi, Kate.
Hi. So
let's talk about Boundless.
Yes. So the inspiration for Boundless originally came from my grandmother, who was a Canadian pilot post-war. And she was my best friend growing up. She was a huge inspiration to me. And so when she passed, I wanted to do something to honor her. And so I started researching women pilots, and I thought, well, this will be easy because there's like Amelia Earhart and my grandmother. No big deal. This is how long I've been working on this. It's been over a decade. So it's been a lot of research. And when I stumbled upon the Women Air Force Service pilots, which are a group of women pilots, over 1,000 of them, who flew every type of aircraft manufactured in between 1942 to 1944 in the States and in North America. It was just so astounding to me, and I was living in the States. And so the more research I did, the more intrigued I got, and I got to interview them, and I got to go to their homecoming every year in May for Memorial Day. And, and then just began writing about it. And it's had so many incarnations. It's been, I think at one point it was a play, and then it was a feature, and then, trying to sell it as a show. And this is years ago. So I was tired of waiting for something to happen. And so I was like, okay, I just need to make something happen. I'm just going to do this. I started with the teaser and then did the short, and it was just a miracle, that and it's such a huge learning experience, and, really, really so proud and happy to have this piece of a much larger project. Was really, really wonderful.
Do you see doing a featured treatment of Boundless?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to, there are so many things that can happen, and definitely, yeah.
I thought you really captured the story. You really nailed it home that these women served, and then they were basically shamed, and they weren't. I mean, that's incredible.
Never
recognized.
That happened. Yeah, never properly recognized until the 70s, and then again when Obama gave him the Congressional Gold Medal in 2009. So long overdue, and so yeah, it was impossible to do everything. So it was just sort of a chunk of what I felt emotionally gave the impact, transmitted the impact of what I felt all these years. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. It takes a lot of time, and I think it takes a lot of tenacity and resilience.
Yes.
And that is clearly something all of you have. And yeah, really beautiful, aesthetically beautiful. Did Sarah Moffat shoot?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
I love Sarah. And she's
not only that, she's one of my producers. And she is, she brought so much to the table. And
I love Sarah.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She did such a great job.
Yeah.
The cinematography.
It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And, she was the first person that I approached when I decided to do this, because we had met maybe a year or so before at TIFF. And I thought, okay, let's do this. And so we paired together, and then she's just been such a huge, important piece of this and moving through into post. And so, yeah, so fortunate.
I'm just thinking of a photo I saw of her sitting in the cockpit.
Oh yeah, she went up in the planes. Both planes.
She's insane. Honestly, that woman is a warrior. She's like a Scottish Viking or something. I don't know what she is, but anyway, she's incredible.
Yeah, she is.
She's so talented. Yeah, it was, and she's such a big support. She's a huge champion of the film, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
Really well done. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Boundless. Serena, over to you.
Yes.
Now, I hope you can all see each other's films, because this group right here, your films are all so stunning and absolutely different in every way. Serena, your film is deeply disturbing in a brilliant way. It just screams everything that's been going on in the last 2 years in America, predominantly in America, and the actor's genius. So, and the direction and the look of the film and your integration of sort of that digital world landscape we're living in. I mean, the production value is incredible. So tell us, where did the story come from?
Yeah, so as you said, well, for anybody who hasn't yet had a chance to watch it, High Score is about a burgeoning white supremacist who finds himself descending deeper and deeper into these internet echo chambers of white supremacy, essentially. And it explores a conspiracy theory called the Great Replacement, which many people probably have not heard of, but it is a facet of anti-Semitism and racism that basically purports that Jewish people are actively and purposefully bringing minority communities and women and gay people into the United States, specifically to replace the white, male, cisgendered, heterosexual population. So, as you said, Leslie, like, we are sort of just living in this reality right now, right? Like, this is the moment in history where this is happening all the time. We just had 15 minutes away from where I'm living in Boulder, we had an attack a couple of days ago. And of course in Atlanta as well. And this story in particular was inspired by the Poway and Pittsburgh massacres, because my co-writer and co-director, who's also the star of the film, Ethan Itzkow, and I were in Los Angeles working on another film, premiering another film, when those two massacres occurred. And I remember him turning to me and saying, we have to make a movie about hate. He is Jewish, I am not, but together we were out of the United States at the time working on a theater production when we started to write it. And we found that being so far away from the United States, while all of these attacks were cropping up, and so many of them have very clear ties to the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, that we felt like we needed to do something, but we weren't around to march in the streets with our friends. We were just so physically far away that we felt compelled to do what we could, which at the time was to write this little film.
Little film, my goodness, it should be seen all over the world. It was so palatable, his experience, and it was almost as if I wondered at one point if he had fallen into, because he was spiraling into a state of psychosis. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because these boys, who they so often are, they're just young boys. It's very easy to call these perpetrators evil, right? I saw that just the other day in all these articles dissecting the Boulder attack, and it's very easy to call these attackers evil. Mm-hmm. But like you're saying, Leslie, there's a much deeper psychological element going on. No, I believe that nobody is born evil, right? Nobody comes out of the womb wanting to massacre people. But for a variety of reasons, whether there's, mental health issues there to begin with, or a lack of community And when it's exacerbated by the power of the internet, like we are seeing the internet being used as such a vital tool to propagate lies and mistruths, not to mention conspiracy theories. There's such a brewing mess of reasons why this happens.
It harkens back to, for me anyway, an article I read some time ago called The Mothers of ISIS. And they were interviews with mothers from the UK and Canada and other places in the United States, all over the world. And they were, without taking up too much time, but there were portraits and interviews with mothers who had sons. All of them were single mothers. This isn't their fault. I'm a single mother. But their sons felt disenfranchised. They didn't have community. They didn't have role models. They were targets. They were real targets. They were targeted and they were recruited and they were basically brainwashed into believing that they know. And there was one mother I remember talking about her son sending, begging him to come home, and she contacted the CIA and all of the enforcements, but the government was using them, the boys, as ways to infiltrate the cells, the ISIS cells, knowing that these boys would be chopped up and their little body parts would be sent home at some point. Yeah. So it was a very interesting look at the systematic way it all works together, involving the government, involving, the CIA, the highest levels. But what was really compelling to me was how these young kids got recruited and how they really believed that they were fighting a worthy cause and they were going to have married and have 100 virgins and
be martyred. Yes,
and be martyred, and that it was such a great cause. So you're right. I would agree with you. I really did feel his spiral, but I really you could feel the information he was being fed was just so, how he could be compelled to it. And he was vulnerable.
Yes, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, obviously, everybody's responsible for their own actions, right? Like, I'm not here to make any excuses for these attackers, but there is an element that cannot be denied that they are vulnerable to this type of brainwashing. Exactly what you're talking about, Leslie. That this especially when it comes to the internet right now and the echo chambers and the confirmation bias that we are.
What did you call that? Sorry, I forget the name of the conspiracy.
The Great Replacement.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Great Replacement conspiracy theory, and the way in which, like you said, these young boys are recruited into this community, for lack of a healthier, supportive, genuinely loving community, they are. It's a predatory.
Very predatory.
Yes. Looking for the lost souls who need somewhere to belong.
Yeah.
And generally what these boys have is, obviously every individual circumstance is different, but trends that we noticed and patterns that we noticed when we were researching is that these boys often have nothing else to feel proud of other than the fact that they are white men, right? They often come from low-income communities. They often don't have a loving, supportive community around them. And being white is the one thing they've got, the one thing they have to defend at all costs.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Powerful, powerful short film. They say dynamite comes in small packages, and all of your films are certainly a testament to that. Thank you, Anna, Unknown Being. I remember watching it and thinking it was actually a documentary, like a straight up, you found this guy homeless and he was just kind of crazy, but sweet, like you could fall in love with him easily. And then that scene with I won't give it away, but really, where did that story come from? Where did the idea come from? The inspiration?
Well, the inspiration came from the actor. He's my partner, and I do love him. So that's one I guess, yeah, I kind of came at it from a place of love and wanting to, but also seeing how it, for the most part, the world also treats him a lot, and he's not. It was an interesting time where he was just out of university and he was kind of lost in the world himself, and I just. But I got inspired by the way he holds himself, walks down the street, and it was actually specifically a day in North Vancouver where it was a sunny day. We were walking down the street and he was starting doing like these dinosaur hands, kind of moving back and forth and just like taking up the street for himself because he was having a great day. And I just wanted to film some of those things, but I felt like I wanted to, and he's also an actor and he wanted to like act the character. So, and I've always had this dream of making a film where you have an alien that comes to Earth. And so I just leaned into that to ask him that, told him that he is an alien. He is someone like to take away all the social boundaries of, oh, now I'm supposed to do this and this, and just be able to explore these moments of not knowing what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, you really nailed it. By giving him that direction, he totally embodied that. He was like from another planet, literally. And just, it's so inappropriate and so not in the right place at the right time. And it was just, honestly, very well done. I really felt like I was watching a short documentary about a homeless guy. And then I realized, because sometimes I'll watch films without reading the synopses, or I won't really pay much attention to other programmers' notes. Like if they've rated a film or they have comments, I'll just kind of gloss over it and watch the film from just knowing nothing. So yeah, it was really great. All of you, just kudos to you. I want to share this with you because I don't know if you're aware of it. You must be from the email you received yesterday. We're not done yet, by the way. I just want to segue into this. So, TIFF, you've been to the platform. You've seen the films, yes? Okay. You haven't seen the films because they launch tomorrow. But what was really interesting and challenging for us at the Female Eye was that we thought that all the films, because they're on a digital platform, can be seen worldwide, all over the world, you know. And then we found out that no, they're all geo-blocked to Canada. So we are going to be contacting you to say that if you want, maybe we can do a kind of an exchange, because if we were live, we'd be sitting in the theater and we'd be eating popcorn with each other and going out for drinks and having brunch and watching films and network. We're not doing that. So I want you all just to think about this, because you really should see each other's films. You should see as many of the other shorts as you can, and the features, of course. We're going to do a link exchange for a very short period of time. Vimeo links, password protected, and everyone's just going to glut out on each other's films. That you, especially, you know, unfortunately, the foreign filmmakers, you won't be able to see the films at Digital TIFF Bell Lightbox, but you received an email about a promo code for a discount. It's like, so if you have people in Canada that you want to see your film, I can't give them a pass and I can't transfer your pass, but you can give them that. Did you get that in the email?
Yeah.
Okay, bravo. So you can give that to people in Canada that you want to invite to Digital TIFF Bell Lightbox to watch your film. It's not ideal. Normally you would be getting a VIP pass and extra passes if you came to the festival with, you know, your producer, your actors, or Maeve in your case. So I don't know, we're doing the best we can. But let's talk about your films, because I think the audience, this will stream on our YouTube channel. And I really wanted to jump in and do this with you before the films launch tomorrow. So what is it that you want the audience to take away from your story? What if you were to think of just something, you know, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but something that you hope that they take away from your story? go over to Kate. What is it that you want people to take away?
I think what I would like people to take away from the Boundless short is just a feeling of joy, of inspiration, of anger, like not like an anger I can't do anything about it anger, but like, oh, how come this happened and why, and is this still happening somehow, somewhere? And just the love of planes. I absolutely am obsessed with planes, but just that. Yes, I have I'm halfway through my private pilot's license. So I'm a student pilot.
You'd make your grandmother proud.
Yeah, and I'm a member of the 99's Women's Flying Organization that Amelia Earhart was the first president back in 1929, and it's like in 66 countries around the world today, still active. So yeah, just the inspiration for, standing up for oneself, but also others, where you can stand up for something and really make a difference, where you're not like taking anyone out or, like how do we do that? And how do we find these ways of doing that in our day-to-day life?
Right.
I think that would be a good takeaway.
Yes. And it's very femme-centric, and it's a feminist film, I would say. Yeah. Because I don't think the F word is a bad word. And it very empowering in that regard. And yeah, it made me think, certainly, did this really happen? Does this continue to happen?
Yeah. And just the openness to know, open the gateway to what else don't we know about our history? There's so much that we don't know. This is just the tiniest bit.
Oh, yes, so, I'm sure. Lots of dirty little secrets in our history.
Oh, yeah.
Roisin, tell us, what do you want the audience to take away from Patty? What's the takeaway for you?
For me, well, hopefully they'll feel really uplifted, because I think ultimately that's how you should feel. And his moment of change, of finding his own path, I think that can happen to anyone at any age. It's, and just to embrace it, just to, sometimes I think we all need to sit back and say, just not go with emotions, and just like he is trying to please his mother, he's trying to please the family, he's trying to please everyone else. And sometimes you have to look and say, no, I need to follow my own dreams and do something for myself. And I think it's something that we all struggle with, and we all struggle with that thing of like taking a step out. And I think he's quite inspiring in that way, that something terrible happens, but it is also what gives him the strength to grasp his future, his own future, and what he wants out of the world around him. And hopefully they'll really like the punk songs. That's another bit, because the music is a huge, big part of it. And a young man called Michael Hickey wrote the music for it. And his father was actually in a punk band in London in the 70s. And Michael himself wrote all the original music for it. And I just think it's a really, he's very young, but it's just something really nice about that full circle coming back, and him sort of re-embracing punk music, because it was certainly important to me growing up. It's something that I really loved, and there's a sense of freedom in it, and I think that's what I hope.
Anarchy, it's the best. So, is punk dead?
No.
I don't think so either.
No way. There's just some people who haven't been introduced to it properly yet, but they will be. But no,
I
most
agree.
Definitely not.
I think we need, if ever there was a time for punk and a punk movement, it's now. And if you get a chance to see SB's feature, Sarah Beth Edwards, her film A Fall Back Down is a punk. It's an homage to punk houses, and it's based on characters she knew back in
Brilliant.
the day. And it's a fun frolic into the world of activism, and it
Yeah.
sort of dispels the whole that punks were violent and
No.
punks were feminists and punks
Yeah.
were, you know, we could go on about it. But anyway, I thought it was just lovely. And thank you for that. It's a
Thank
great
you.
gift. Edit. What is it that you would like the audiences to take away from your film?
Yeah. Am I unmuted?
No? Yes, you're unmuted.
Yes, I am. Okay. Yeah. So I'm kind of a cosmopolitan. I have lived around the world. I also lived for 15 years in Montreal. I'm also Canadian, among others, but I also lived in America for a long time. And so this is an homage to the Midwest, where I got my MFA. So I spent 3 years there. And I was very grateful that, you know, they accepted me with a fellowship, not at the age of 20. So, and I kind of fell in love there with Appalachian, Ohio. It's the Midwest, a very poor area, but I was in an oasis in Athens. And so it's an homage to this area. And in its autumn glory, and there's the steam engine, which is very particular to this region and the only one, or one of the very, very few in North America. But yes, so this film is sort of a lyrical contemplation on the possibility of forgiveness or the impossibility of forgiveness, and what we are willing to do to be able to forgive or to receive forgiveness. So this man, my protagonist, an old Hungarian man, he leaves everything behind in Hungary, right? And he emigrates to America to find his estranged daughter and ask for forgiveness, for her forgiveness. And in the end, well, I don't want to give it away, but the question is, the most important question is he able to forgive himself?
Yeah.
The daughter will forgive him in the end, but is he able? So that's the big question. We should all see to find out. But it's really lyrical, and the imagery, like it's beautiful autumn. I'm obsessed with fall and autumn leaves, and yeah, I showcase it in many of my movies, and so that's why I found the profession for him.
That's right. The seasons. Yeah. It's interesting the themes we find in our storytelling.
Yeah.
Our own themes that we explore through our stories. And you're speaking to autumn and the fall and the leaves and the change and
yeah, obviously it's symbolic also, but very lyrical. The whole thing is very lyrical and kind of tragic. But he's trying. He has tried, and so there is. Yeah, it's a bittersweet story.
A lovely drama. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Inanna, what do you want the audience to take away from your film?
I think for the most part, empathy I just feel like to not judge those that act differently. I think that the characters that he meets also end up being kind of wild characters that don't act within the norms of society, and you see that everyone. I think the main thing that I wanted to capture, and that I think I did, was just to realize that when you put a camera on anyone long enough and you actually spend time with them, they are redeemable, and you shouldn't judge people from not knowing exactly the right thing to say or the right thing to do in each moment. And that's how we often, a lot of people are seen when you're outside and stuff, and you see so I don't know how to describe it. I'm bad at speaking about my films.
No, this is good. About acceptance and about
accepting. yeah, accepting the people and what they do, and think, you can find the humor in people's odd behavior and not judge it. And I think that's the thing I'm trying to show. And in the end, I think that in my film you see just then the character be more funny and be just out on the street still trying to find a place.
Yeah, with his buddy well, we won't give it away, but he had his buddy who I'm just going to look at the thread chat. It's interesting. It dawned on me that no one's seen your films, so people can't really ask questions about your films, can they?
But
we'll go there near the end. Yes.
But yeah, my film was also very process-driven film. Like, I didn't write the script, perfect it, and then shoot it. It was more like I was halfway through writing the first draft, and it was like time to shoot, and we shot. And then we shot for one weekend with like a crew, and then I went out and shot with the actor myself, just with taking the camera and the sound equipment a few extra times, just got scenes, like one scene one day, another scene another day, and then got some reshoots months later with just an even smaller crew, and then had all this footage, and I was like, what is this? Is there even a story here? And then spent the whole pandemic just editing it, figuring out what is the story? What's the film? And actually, the film that I'll be screening with you guys is it's played at a couple different festivals, but I made a new cut, added a few minutes that I think is much better and much shows the story a lot more. So it was a longer, more extensive cut that you guys could see.
Okay.
That hasn't never before seen footage.
Yeah.
It was definitely like a long process, because when you just shoot and you don't have everything planned, you really have to then make the film in editing, and that's where it came together.
Well, you see, now that therein lies the documentary way of going about things. I mean, with that's why in some ways I thought it was a documentary, because you found the story in the edit. And often documentaries, you find this, you know what you're doing and you know what your intent is, but sometimes you start somewhere and then somebody brings you somewhere else or introduces you to another character, or you discover something you didn't know and you have to go there. You go down that rabbit hole. But it came together in the edit for you, which was another question I was going to ask all of you about process. But so I'm going to come back to that. But I'm going to bounce over to Serena and ask you the same question. What is it that you hope the audience take away from your film?
Great question. Primarily awareness that these are often the steps that are leading to these types of indoctrinated attackers. So just a literal sense of awareness as to how this is happening. But even deeper than that, I would hope that all audiences would be able to reflect on their own relationships to latent racism and their relationships to our echo chambers, our internet echo chambers that we are all so deeply entrenched in.
I am not entrenched in those echo chambers, but and I don't want to be entrenched in those echo chambers, but a lot of people are, yeah. So you definitely shone a light on a different perspective. You're offering a real look into the character, or into a persona, a person who'd become very easily influenced.
Yeah. And then, of course, after reflecting and becoming aware, then the next step hopefully is some sort of action to combat these tragedies that we're facing so often. Like we obviously can't solve this problem as individuals. It's definitely a communal effort, but the end goal would be some sort of action taken.
Absolutely. So that brings me to, and Anna started speaking to it, but I'm always curious to know, it can take a long time to make a short film, and the resources that it takes to make the short film, and so you can answer this any way you want. from a funding perspective? Was it completely 100% independently produced? Did you have support from public funding in your country? How long did it take you from the beginning to the end, to the completion of the production? How long was the process? So it's kind of an open-ended question about process. You all wrote, well, yours was written, came from an original story which you adapted and changed, edit. Your story came from your grandmother. Rosen, your script came to you from another writer, correct? With Maeve as the producer. So you all have there's a different genesis or an instigating moment or whatever it was for your story. So if you could speak to that, that would be great. And I am going to start with edit. I know you said this was your thesis film, right?
Yes. It was, well, in fact, it was probably the most expensive thesis film at my university. It was incredibly expensive, but I was very lucky because I'm quite a good grant writer and I received every possible grant. So I guess they liked the script, and I'm quite convincing as well. So
good for you.
So that was very lucky. But of course, it also from my own pocket. But yeah, so no, lots. And what the school provided was the equipment. But that's all. But of course, I also went out of my way, and because I shot it with the red Scarlet, and the school had only Zeiss lenses, and I didn't like them together. So I did some research, and I really love the Cook lenses. So I rented Cook lenses from Columbus, Ohio. Can you hear me?
No, I'm looking underneath the screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it got reduced, the screen. But anyway, so with Cook lenses, it got the effect that I wanted, the beautiful colors and yeah, so I'm very satisfied this combination. I know that I'm not comparing myself to Michael Haneke, but he uses Cook lenses a lot, and I love his films and his colors. So I thought, well, I should give it a try. And of course, I had probably one of the best DPs of Hungary, a woman, Esther Csepeli, who shot the movie. Mm-hmm. Amazing DP. And I was lucky because she was in New York at the time. So I had to bring her to Ohio only from New York and not from Hungary. But my protagonist I brought from Hungary because I couldn't find anybody in America, who could do this. And yeah, so it was very expensive because of all this traveling and then accommodation and feeding, right? So it was even from Toronto, I had a Hungarian actor from Toronto who actually didn't make the cut, but his voice did. But yeah, so it was very expensive, but for a short film, right? For a student film, but it had to be because I had very high production standards and demands, and I think I hope to think that it shows, and so these were professional actors, really. All of them, even the little girl was a pro. So anyway, so it was a lot of fun, huge amount of work. So the pre-production was like
how long?
8 months pre-production. So we wrote the script for like 7 months, right? Because we took it total. So the story was like half a page, and we wrote like 20 pages. So it's as though it, yeah. So we really wrote the screenplay.
And how long did you shoot? How many days did you shoot?
We shot only 6 days. 6 days.
Wow.
Yeah, in the fall. But it was really well prepared. But then the editing process was very, very interesting because I was working with a professional editor in LA, also a Hungarian woman. Brilliant. She's also a scholar, and she researches montage theory. So she was really brilliant. So I actually flew out to LA, brought all the material. I didn't want to mail it. And so we worked together for a week, and then I left the stuff with her, everything, and after we worked together. And then in the end, I brought her to Athens, and for 10 days we worked together again, the final. But then even then we had sort of the final cut. But then she went back to LA, and I was thinking, no, we have to do something funky here, something. So in the end, I decided to make it not linear. So the story is not linear in the end. So I have those little. I injected some flashes. I'm not going to say whether it's flashback or flash forward, but so that makes the story, I think, even more interesting and intriguing, and it makes the audience think what's happening, and however you perceive it, it doesn't matter, because it works either way. And I respect my audience, so I leave it to you, how you interpret it. But
I just want you to know we're all going to be contacting you about grant writing. I
was gonna say I have to learn from you.
Yeah, I have
She's
to start
flying all over the world. Actors coming from Hungary and post-production in LA. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was crazy, but now I have to get my grant writing skills together, because I have written my first feature script. So now I only need $2 million.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. I'm going to bounce up to Nana. So tell us, how long was we know you edited for some time. You said during the pandemic. So from the first wave until, what are we in, the third wave maybe? I don't know how many waves we've had, but we're somewhere in another wave, I think, right?
Well, yeah, the summer before the pandemic would have been when I first came up with the idea, and then this was my 4th year film for my at school. So I spent the whole year doing the production, and then at the end, when the last few months before, I was already editing before the pandemic, and then we were supposed to have a screening, but that disappeared. And it was kind of like, it felt like the only thing to do was be at home and edit my film. I was like, that's my life now. But so then I made a cut for I submitted almost right away to festivals, because I'm impulsive, even before the film was finished. And then I kind of finished it for last summer, and then it played at some festivals, and then more recently, then in the winter I went home for Christmas and came back to it afterwards, wanted to edit a little bit more, and then I got into this festival. I was like, okay, I'm editing it, finishing it, this is a sign. And just literally when you guys were asking for it, I was like, yes, I'm totally finished. And I was just finishing the last little things. But yeah, I was kind of doing color, sound, and edit all at once.
Are you finished now?
I hope so. I mean, you never know. I'm more thinking now, maybe I should actually consider making a grant to make it a feature, because I do think it would be a really good feature, and that's a lot of the comments I get, that people want to see more afterwards. So that would be, so maybe that's where I should put my energy to. But it's hard. When you're finished, it's never finished.
Somebody said a film is never finished.
It's
never finished. We deliver it, but is it finished? I don't know. Would we do? That's another question. One of my last questions, actually. So, Rosen, how long did it take you from beginning, script development, right through to production, post-production?
So that's been just a little bit over a year, till a year and a half since I came up with the first idea.
Okay.
And then, it is mainly though in the edit, because also there is as you say, you think it's documentary, there's also documentary aspects. We got taught in school a lot of hybrid forms of documentary fiction hybrids. So I used actors, and then actors in real life situations, and like there's a guy on the bus that just was there, and and there's other people that are in the shots that are just being themselves, in the city, Vancouver.
Thank you. Well, great city, by the way. Royce, tell us about how long did you shoot for? How many days? I'm always curious how many days people, I don't know why I'm obsessed with
How many
that.
days? We shot for 3 days. That was it.
Oh, wow.
So it was really, we were lucky. Maeve and Keith had secured funding from Creative Ireland a small bit, and from Clare County Council, but it was really quite a tiny budget. I always kind of think that people who work on short films, they actually invest in them themselves, because so much of the time, they're doing it for relatively low wages for, the amount of time and energy, the months of work they put in. But so it was a 3-day shoot, because, budget wise, and there was a lot of locations. So it was fairly full on and a lot of people, but it was brilliant, because it was all shot in Ennis and it's set in London. So we shot it all around Ennis, and then Phil Shanahan, who was our editor and did the VFX on it, like put in London buses and put in posters and put in like tube station maps and everything, all in post-production.
Wow.
So all of that stuff, and like this big flat complex at one point is in the back, and he was sending it. I was like, what? So we did a lot of stuff where we could in post-production to give it, that London feel, particularly, I mean, of the 70s. But we were really lucky, and the people in Ennis were fantastic. Like the businesses, people on the street, they were just brilliant, of giving us locations and doing whatever they could to help. So it was brilliant. It was a great community effort.
You must have had long days, long shoot days. Were you 14 hours? What were you, 16?
No, we were relatively good, because both our actors, Cian, who plays our lead, who plays Paddy in it, he was 17 when we shot.
Oh, right.
So we were restricted hours wise. So we just had to be really, really tight about what we shot. And then Kerry, I know she's only in a small bit of it, but she was 9 shooting it. And she's a total pro. So they were long enough days, but what we would do is kind of crew would go in and set up, so we'd be like ready to go as soon as we had our actors on set, which was, what you have to do, particularly when you're great. And like Cian hadn't acted before. That was his first ever film. It was his first time on screen.
Wow.
So
he was incredible.
He's an absolutely amazing. Like I can't wait to see where his career goes, because he had never done it before. Like it was just stunning, every single moment, every single beat, just right there. It was.
Did you cast a wide net, or did you cast a wide net?
Yeah, there was a call out for his character, because he holds so much of the, you know what I mean. Yeah. He's so central to the film. Mm-hmm. So there was a call out for his character, and we auditioned quite a few actors, from around the area, and I knew a few, but not an awful lot of that age group, because it was quite important to have that sort of to have someone who was that sort of 16, 17, 18-year-old age group. And he came to me he did a self-tape, which was emailed to me, and his parents actually are first generation English Irish. So his mum she was brought up in the UK, and he moved back to Ireland when he was 2 or 3. So there was a lot of stuff sort of parallel, and his audition was so small and quite gentle, and he could do the accent, but he's a listener. He's one of those people who, he's not loud, he's not he's quiet, and he considers everything. And I think that's what I really liked about him, because he listened no matter what was going on or around him. If I was discussing something with another actor, he was always listening, he was always tuned in. So when he auditioned, you could see that in him. So yeah, he was just, I think you kind of know, if when you're auditioning, sometimes you just know and there were brilliant actors in for the part, like really, really strong young actors in. So no, I was delighted, and I think he's got a very good future ahead of him. You
Oh,
know,
I think so. He's great. He really pulled you in. You never ever lost sight of him. A
yeah,
great casting call. Truly
yeah.
spectacular.
And
Hmm.
Kerry is great. His little
Oh,
sister,
I
and
love
actually that was one
Carrie.
of she was, and it was like watching brother and sister on set. Like, it was so funny with the two of them because they got on really, really well, and there was that kind of teasing and slagging, and all that sort of stuff. And she's a total pro. Like, she's done a lot of work over the last few years, and it was really sweet. It was really sweet watching the two of them together and
Oh
just
yeah.
messing around and playing on set. So it worked out really, really well. So no, he was a find. I think he's a find, and I think a lot of people are going to. I think he'll be doing well into the future.
Oh
So,
yeah. I would say so. Really great. Good, wonderful casting. Truly.
and of course, Maeve, as
Oh,
always,
I love Maeve. She's great.
super. So, and it was full on producing and acting, of course, but she was great. Always professional and great as well with the two actors. Like, she's been acting for so long herself and from such a young age that I think she really understands what it's like for young people on set as well. So it was great having her there
Yeah.
and that
She would have
experience.
been very nurturing, I would imagine. Yes.
Yeah, very much so. Very much
Hmm.
so. So it was lovely. And great crew, really strong crew. Shane Sereno shot it, and just really beautiful lighting, and just, it was fantastic. And then Phil in post, and Jan Talbot did all the gradings, which brought it back to that sort of, gave it that slightly older feel. But yeah, we had done a fair amount of work on the sort of colors and what we wanted to see and how we wanted the tone to be throughout. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
months and months of work, but it was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. So
Who said thank you for the kind words?
Cian,
Oh,
that's my actor. Cian
oh,
Hughes.
Kian. Is that Kian? I can't. I don't have my glasses on. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
can't see.
that's my lead.
Oh, how wonderful. He's up
Hi,
very
Cian.
late. Spectacular, Kian. You did a beautiful job. Massive applause for you, my dear. Kate, I know it was a long process for you as the story creator. I know that it's a story you've been carrying in your heart and your mind for a long time. But
Yes.
from the time you wrote it to the time you completed it, and how many days did you shoot?
We shot for 5 days. 5 day shoot. One of those days was just with Sarah and I, and Cam Herod, who was our aerial coordinator and doing some specific flying stuff. So, actors all in 4 days, but technically 5. And just an interesting note about the process of this. So, Lou, who plays young Betty, and Deanie Petty plays older Betty. But Lou was in the first staged read-through we had in Los Angeles in 2015 of the feature film version. So it's just so fascinating because that character has been in them, and all these years, and to be able to have it come out in a short was really cool. Also, TJ, who played the captain, was in that stage reading as well. So it's been a process, and I tell you, I tried so hard to raise funds for this film, and I didn't give myself much time. I really wanted to go to camera in August, and we started fundraising in June, and it really wasn't enough. I received really lovely support from my hometown community, which from the HCDC, Halliburton County Development Corporation, as well as the Halliburton Legion. And then the Halliburton County Folk Society came on for post to play some music. Like, individually, they came in during COVID to play one instrument at a time on this score that my composer in Los Angeles composed. Like, my hometown really brought it. But at the end of the day, 90% of the budget came out of my pocket, and I'm still recovering from that. So, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was like a thing where we had some really good funding perhaps lined up, and then it fell through. And then we had to make the decision of, are we going to go do this or not? And I was like, we have to do this. And I'm so glad we did, because if we didn't, we would have been running into pandemic and it never would have gotten done. Yeah. And I was so happy that we did that. It was stressful in so many levels, even though I received so much help, you know, and everyone just, it was like a SWAT team, everyone doing 5 jobs. It was incredible. One of the greatest experiences of my life. And, you know, one day we didn't know if we were going to be able to shoot the big plane scene where we had 60 extras, 40 crew members, and flying warplanes, because it might have rained. And we were just like, what are we doing? We have no idea. And then it ended up being perfect, because it was like the ominous sky, which was exactly what we needed. So it was a big leap of faith. And it certainly paid off. But, you know, everyone from Cam Herod, who was my aerial coordinator, who I'd been working on test shots with since 2016, you know, who's just been amazing. And then Rolling Pictures and Clark Stanley came on to do the post. And that was just a phenomenal experience. It took a long time. We took a year to do that. And I really wanted it to be done in February of 2020. And I'm so glad I waited. Sometimes these things just take their own time, and they will tell you when they're done. And I'm so grateful, because the song piece I kept hearing in my head. I was trying to connect with this fantastic Russian Irish artist, and I couldn't get her. And finally one day, I heard back from her, and she said, yes, you can use the song for your piece, the climax of your thing. And I was like, yes. So that, you know, it just have to be patient. And then all the people from my hometown were able to play on the score. And it was a weird, slow, very slow process, but it was so educational and so worth the wait for me. You know, as opposed to rushing something just because I had this deadline in my mind. Yeah. Little did I know the pandemic was around the corner.
Right. So. And it has its process. And I think sometimes as creatives, we think that it has to be done a certain way at a certain time. And I think there's a place for that. But I also think there's a place where you have to just trust that it's going to happen exactly the way it's supposed to happen.
Yes.
And your intent to do it, make it happen, is just, it's going to happen. It's just, there's other things that you have to be kind of more patient with, and trust the process, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I forgot to mention Buck Productions was a part of this as well. Producer Tammy Ray was my Halliburton producer, who really brought it. Like, there were so many people, so many producers on this project. But it was really a joy to watch something I'd worked on for so long.
Yeah.
To see other people having their own experience with it and learning about it, and like it taking on a life of its own way outside of what I could ever give to it. And that was just the biggest gift. Like, the actors were phenomenal. They were game for anything. It was stressful.
They were great.
But it was great.
Thank you. Why I keep feeling everybody's saying we're going away. We're not going anywhere. We have until 8:30. It's only 8:14. So Serena, over to you.
Yeah. So our process for high score, goodness, now I have to go through my Rolodex of memory. So we shot for 4 days. Prior to that, so I mentioned that Ethan, my partner, and I were traveling with another job out of the country. And so we had an extensive research period before we started writing, because it was really important to us that this story was told in an accurate way, right? True to life. So we spent a lot of time in these extremist internet spaces, often with, pseudonym profile names, whatever, fake profiles. And
wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of research, lots and lots of research that was done, because all of the footage that's utilized in the film, obviously other than the actors, but anything that he's seeing online, that the character sees on the internet, found. We didn't create those images. That's all found footage. So yeah, there was a lot of research to be done to accumulate, to gather all of that information. And then we wrote it while we were in, I want to say Mexico City. And we had this wonderful team of pre-production producers in Los Angeles for us, because we obviously were in Mexico and it was going to be shot in Los Angeles. So we had our like boots on the ground in LA to do all of the location scouting and all of that work for us, which of course was relayed to us remotely. Our producers in Los Angeles conducted the auditions and we zoomed in for our part. And you know, it was all very remote even before the pandemic hit. And then we shot for 4 days in Los Angeles in November, the November before the pandemic started. And just like you, Kate, we had given ourselves this sort of arbitrary deadline that we thought we were going to have it finished by February after having shot in November. And of course, February rolls along and that is just wholly unrealistic, especially because the film has a lot of visual effects that are incredible. Director of photography, who also did our post-production work, Jorge Arzak, did. And he is based in New York City. So like while Ethan and I were in Mexico and our producers were in Los Angeles, Jorge was in New York and everything had to be brought together just for these 4 days to shoot. And then after those 4 days, we all parted ways again. And not too long after that, the pandemic hit. And so post-production was pretty much entirely remote as well. So other than our 4 days together, there haven't been many bodies together for this film.
Wow, incredible. Yeah. Well, you did it. Look at this. Women making films during a global pandemic. It's awesome.
What was the pseudonym name that you used?
Gosh. Oh my goodness. That's really going to test my memory. I'm not sure I could come up with it. But you know, there was like, Gab, is it Gab? Gosh, my memory for like tiny details like this is not great, but there was one WhatsApp group. Oh God, I'm not gonna think of it. Parlor, maybe, whatever. There was one WhatsApp group that was especially terrifying. And I let Ethan be the primary inhabitant of that space. But yeah, some of the screen names he came up with were pretty silly. I'll message you them if I think of them.
That's so weird though. Like, because you're doing the research for drama, there must have been a part of you that was like, you just felt like speaking out, like at some point, just saying, oh my God.
Oh yeah, that was a big reason why Ethan got to be in those spaces and he would report back to me, because I don't have the impulse control to not say, what the fuck is wrong with all of you?
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have that self-control either. So what are your plans? I don't think, because people haven't seen your films, I just want to go here for a minute. It's an interesting thing. I mean, we're getting a lot of people loving it and all of that, but let's just take a peek. I think somebody's popping stuff up for me. Discussion, thank you for the conversion. Wonderful. Yeah. So there's not really any questions, so I'm going to keep asking questions. Amazing, inspiring. Okay, good. So back to the amazing, inspiring filmmakers. Just what are your plans as we kind of wrap up the panel? What are your plans? What's next for your film, and what's next for you in terms of what are you working on? Are you working on anything new? But most importantly, what's happening with your film after The Female Eye? And let's start with Serena.
So after The Female Eye, High Score is going to, oh my goodness, my memory. I want to say the Boca Raton Jewish Film Festival in Palm Beach. And that's also geo-locked to Florida. We have quite a few festival submissions we're waiting to hear back from as well. And we're starting to put feelers out for distribution. So we have a couple of conversations on the books about that. We have another short film that is streaming now on Amazon Prime and on BitPix TV, which is called Cashed, like cash money, but the past tense. And after having spent nearly 2 years with this very heavy, very important, but pretty heartbreaking subject material, we are pivoting and writing a pilot for a comedy series.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good. Yay. Just add a little brevity to your life. Spice it up a little bit, right? That's cool. Great. You'll have to put in the chat where your shorts are screening. You're upcached.
Oh, for sure.
Do you guys have access to the chat?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think you do. So what about you, Rose, and what's happening with your film and what's next for you?
Well, we actually have another screening after the Female Eye in Toronto at Toronto Irish Film Festival.
Oh,
so
great!
Great, yeah. And at Fastnet Film Festival here as well in Skull in Cork, which is remote again. We're dying to see it on the big screen because I just want to see Fla up there dancing, singing, rocking out. But yeah, so there's it's heading off on tour, and there's other festivals coming up and other submitted to us that I'm sure we'll hear back. And then myself, Maeve, and Keith are continuing to work on a feature film at the moment, which we're hoping to move along over the next little while. And then I'm writing on actually comedy again. I don't know what it is, but a 6-part comedy series. So yeah, so trying to get that all together. But yeah, for the film, we just hoping now that it will go on. I mean, we all would love to see our films on the big screen. I know we're all sitting here going, and be in a room together as well. But no, I think the remote festivals have been really good, and it's fantastic that you've managed to do it, and keep them going. So yeah, so that's kind of the road at the moment. But yeah, hopefully we'll be hearing more of Fla and the Famine Queens singing around the world over the next while. So
I hope we have some physical screenings. I hope for all of you that you get to experience that, some live physical screenings. I hope things open up, and it's a very different experience, as you know. Yeah. As most of you know, it's a very different experience when you're in a room at a festival and you're partaking in other aspects of the industry events and so on. So, well, good luck with your comedy series and the film. It's great to see you again. Yeah.
And you.
Inanna, what's going on with you? What are your plans for your film, and what's next?
For my film, I'm not sure. I'm continuing to apply to festivals, sending it around, seeing where it gets in. I would love to have an in-person screening. Honestly, I especially made this film for a big screen. I intentionally used wider shots and didn't, trusted the image of having it's different when it's on a big screen versus small screen. So I would really love to see it with a live audience. That's definitely my goal, but I just have to see where it goes. I don't have any plans for it right now. And then for life, I just graduated university, so I'm looking for work. I'm doing that full time, and trying to apply to some grants, hoping that might alleviate, being just kind of figuring out what I do with my life.
Okay. I'm sure you will. We'll be seeing more films from you, I'm sure. And keep submitting. But pay attention to where you're submitting your film. Everybody should look and see what the brand is of the festival. Festivals are really expensive. We give a lot of waivers to alumni filmmakers. So if you ever come back to us with another film, you won't have to pay the entry fee. It's just something we do. And if people ask for a waiver, we do. And by the way, we're going to, I don't want to lose sight of all of you that I'm asking this question to, but I forget to mention things. And because we're not live, I don't get a chance to tell you, but we are a competitive International Women's Film Festival. And so when we decided to do the honorary director tribute and the script development and the awards when we do our industry initiatives as it pertains to script development, the honorary director tribute, and hopefully, because I'm an eternal optimist, I believe that I'll be able to do some movies in the park in the late spring, early summer. I'm hoping we can do some drive-in movies or get a blow-up screen and park it in the middle of some wildlife conservation area, and social distance if we must, and watch some films. So I may be inviting you back. But either way, we'll be in touch, and hopefully you'll have an opportunity, as I said, to share films. So, Kate, what are your plans? What's happening with your film next, and what are you doing?
So it just released today that we're in the Women in Film and Television Toronto showcase,
Oh,
one of the
great.
showcase. So that's great. And then we just got into World Fest in Houston. The World Fest Film Festival has been running for 54 years, and I'm excited that it's in Texas because this is where the story takes place, a lot of it, and it's in person too. And it's in April, and I just wish I could go, but it's so heartbreaking because they were going to introduce the filmmaker and then show the film and then have a Q&A right after. It just seemed
like
really
in live physically.
Yeah. I don't know how they're doing that, but that's what they're planning to do down there. I think they're rolling out the vaccines quite a bit faster than what's going on up here. Maybe. As far as I can tell. But so that's what's happening immediately that I know about. And then we've applied to some other film festivals that will come in for the rest of the year, smattering throughout the year. And then right now I'm just in sort of writing development for a miniseries.
Oh, good for you.
So with the project. So just getting all these things lined up and
well, you have, whatnot. You have proof of concept now. You have a short film.
It's been a long
proof of concept. Yeah. And just so you all probably know this, but your films have a good life in the festival circuit for 2 years.
Right.
Like a good solid 2 years. You can play the festival circuit. Most festivals after 2 years, unless it's outreach screening, or I curate programs for sister film festivals like the Flying Broom in Turkey, Kin Women's Film Festival in Armenia, FemCine in Chile, which is happening in April, actually, a program of films from our last year's edition. So, your festivals will have a life, and we certainly won't forget about them, and we're not going to lose sight of them. And because Kate made me think of this in my non-linear mental way that I think, I am coming over to you at it. That we on Sunday at 12 o'clock, we're having an international, well, it's not really, we call it Women Shattering the Glass Ceiling. And it's women organizations in Canada. Women in Film and Television, Karen Bruce is moderating it. Women in Film and Television, Women in the Director's Chair from out west, Carol Whiteman's org. Black Women's Films Canada, Real World, which is Tanya Lee Williams Festival and the Institute, Female Eye, and Women in View. And we're going to be sitting in a room like this on Sunday at 12 o'clock, talking about, reflecting on some reports and what's going on with the status of women in Canada. So you might be interested, even if you're non-Canadian, you might be interested. And also, just to let you know, you're going to be getting an invitation from me to women. It's called the Directors Roundtable. And every year we close with it, and we have a big brunch, and there's usually 50 or 60 of us. But this year we are going to have it virtually with breakout rooms, God willing. Honestly, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it probably on StreamYard or Zoom, and it's going to be on Saturday at 12 p.m. And that's a private closed-door session with all of us. And then one person from each room is going to report back. And I'm not going to tell you what the theme is at this point because, well, I don't know what it is we're actually thinking about that still. Carol Whiteman of Women in the Director's Chair facilitates that with me. But you're going to be getting 2 invitations, Saturday and Sunday, to these 2 these two events, which will close off the Female Eye, this part of the festival that never ends during the pandemic. It seems, because we're coming back in June. All right. So don't forget and look for my emails. Edit. I already asked you. I didn't ask you what's happening with your film. And
so I would just like to circle back quickly so my post-production was actually running on 3 continents: color graders in Budapest, sound designer in Vancouver, original score New York, Classmatic. But anyway, so about my film, so I don't know. We have been incredibly lucky because despite COVID, this film has gotten into 15 festivals.
Good.
And some have happened, some yet to happen, and we have received 5 awards already.
Good for you! Congratulations! So keep festivaling. You're all destined for awards.
I really don't believe it, but
this is good. Believe it. Yes. So what you've graduated. You're not.
I graduated totally, and so I produced this. I wrote it, produced it, directed it. But I did have a lot. I had an amazing crew, of course, and cast. But so right now I'm teaching. Actually, I was going to teach film, but because of COVID, they didn't have. So now I'm teaching linguistics in my other life. I'm a linguist and literature person. So, but hopefully I get to teach some, because I love teaching. So I would love to teach screenwriting actually, and producing and directing if possible, anywhere in the world. And as I said, I have written my first feature script, and I need to get the funds together, because I know exactly I will shoot it in Budapest and in New York, mostly in Budapest because it's cheaper here and we can totally do it. And so I'm in conversation with some producers, and
good.
It's a great topic. Also about immigration. Actually, I was a simultaneous interpreter for the Refugee Board in Montreal for like 10 years. So it's about 1 day of my life as a court interpreter for the Hungarian Roma. So it's really.
Is it a documentary or a drama?
No, it's total fiction, but based on true events.
Good.
Yeah.
So you're all busy, productive.
Pretty busy.
Excellent. This is so good. Well, I want to ask you if you have anything that you'd like to share before we say goodbye. And I see you again at the Directors Roundtable on Saturday at 12, or at the Women Shattering the Glass Ceiling panel. Is there anything that any of you would like to share or say? I do want to plug your films. All of these films are screening at TIFF Bell Lightbox, digital TIFF Bell Lightbox, opening tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and running through. They're all available, all launching at the same time, and they are available until Monday, the 29th, 9 a.m. So for anyone who buys a ticket, or if you collect the film and you put it in your library to watch, if you do it before 9 a.m. on Monday, you have 48 hours to watch the film. But the other trick is, once you push play, you only have 24 hours to watch the film. Something to remember. And I put it all in your notes with my scrambled instructions. Yes.
Yeah, I guess I would want to say that, like, as it's like a process-driven film, a big part of the process is the feedback. And since COVID, I feel like I've missed a lot of the in-person feedback. So I really, really hope anybody that watches it, reach out to me, please. I would love to hear anything you have to say or have a discussion. I'm, very interested in speaking about it, or listening also to what people
Yes.
I just want to say thank you, Leslie Ann, for having us, and what a stimulating, exciting conversation this has been.
So great. And we were focused because we normally have we would have you up on the stage, right? To talk to the audience, and it wouldn't just be me, it would be other moderators and hosts. And I felt bad because I contacted you all yesterday. I'm like, we can't let the short filmmakers not have a say, not to give them an opportunity to speak about their film. And so we were thinking we'd have you do a little, like a video, 2 or 3 minutes, talk about your film, and then post it or share it. And then it was really yesterday, the light went on finally, and I was like, nope, we have to have a panel with the short filmmakers. And when I say short, I don't mean short, I mean big short films. So I'm really delighted. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you joined me. And this will live on our YouTube playlist. And we're going to recycle it because this has been a takeaway for me. When people know that something's living in a space, like a digital platform, and they can watch it whenever they want, they're not coming out to play as much. Like normally our industry sessions are packed. And I don't know who's on this in this space on the channel, but it's not something we've been really utilizing actively over the last few years because we're a live event, right? So anyway, well, it'll be curious to see, but we will be sharing this, and we'll probably have to get a consent from you saying that we can do that. And we won't run it for a year, but I definitely want to continue it through to the end of the festival, which is not going to really truly end until June when we do the industry initiatives and the awards and all of that. So I hope you'll bear with me. And we're probably going to tag your trailers in there, and we'll do more with it. But be patient. Be patient.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Leslie.
I would also like
you.
to thank you, Leslie, and I really appreciate your invitation because I'm a total beginning filmmaker, and it's a great honor to be at this festival.
Yeah.
So it's really fantastic.
And we'll fix the glitch with the film Freeway too.
Okay. No,
my goodness.
And live audience would be amazing.
Yeah, we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it, and we'll just have, I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. I might have you all back
for live
post-pandemic.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So,
thank you. And looking forward to seeing everyone's films too.
Oh
yeah. I will watch your films for sure. Yeah, I look forward. Yeah.
Post this, probably latter part of next week, I'm going to be in touch with all of you and just getting your permission to share only with the filmmakers who are part of the festival, the features and the shorts, and that we'll gather everything, the links, and we'll share it again only with the filmmakers. And I can tell you the filmmakers are not going to exploit, or your films won't be downloadable anyway, but they'll be in safe hands. But I think it would be nice if we could share them with the other filmmakers. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
All right. Stay well.
Thank you so much. Bye. Lovely to meet you all.
Nice
We'll see you in Budapest, in Montreal, and LA, and I'll be back to Ireland. I'll be back to Dublin.
Okay.
See you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Leslie.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.